Okay, so um, welcome to him who. Thanks for click and play. First of all, anybody who watches the videos. This is another edition of Tap and Chat that Joanna and I started creating. So I'm Becky Buckman, and I'm a certified Eutaptics advanced practitioner and a certified life coach. And Joanna's going to introduce herself next, try to do a little monthly video just to answer questions or anything like that. So Joanna, if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Joanna McGregor, and I'm level 3 faster EFT practitioner, home study. Been doing it for a couple of years, and I'm in Edinburgh.
Scotland. We're all over. And so we have Margarita joining us today. Margarita, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Margarita Harrington, and I've been studying faster EFT for, I think, since 2014. Yeah. It's been a while, and yeah, I'm really enjoying and learning, and it's been an amazing experience. So
very good woman. So, and you live in Virginia, right?
I live in Virginia, yes.
Okay, very good. So it's still morning for us a little bit, and for Joanna it's late afternoon or early evening or something like that. Yeah. All right, good. So so a topic we kind of tossed around today was how to get yourself out of trance, how to break your own trance, which can be one of the more challenging things about studying, working on breaking our own trance, because it still happens. I mean, I still can, they usually come at me sideways when I do go into a deep trance, like I got to break this, it'll be like, I didn't see it coming kind of thing, And so, I think if we all kind of share, ask questions, how each other does that, suggestions, what's worked for you to come out of your own trance, then hopefully others will pick up ideas and maybe even add comments later on what they do to get out of trance. So the first thing that comes to mind getting out of trance for me, two things. One is to keep the reminder that the defrag, or the thing you're using to break the trance, has to be bigger than the trance. Yeah. So if it's, where I was joking earlier, where I just realized I find myself staring out the window and I get a lot of self-talk when that's going.
Yeah.
Conversations that are never going to happen. With people I'll never meet, imaginary people in my head that I've made a call to some organization or the bank or something like that to take care of an issue or something that's come up, and I've got this whole conversation in my head about they're going to ask me this and they're going to ask me that, and I'm going to have to tell them, hey, how long is this going to take? And then I'm like, that I can typically turn off the talk, be like, come out of it, Becky, and just let it go. And I know how to let it go. All those words, all the sounds, all the meanings I give it, just let it go. I'm safe to let it go. I'm really here right now in wherever, I am. Squeeze my wrist and go to a happy memory. So that is pretty, that is something that's been a gift to be able to do that because of faster EFT. Those kind of trances, those that I let myself kind of go off into that, it's the self-talk. Yeah. However, when I have an occasional one, and honestly, I can only say 2 since my years of studying tapping and faster EFT, that only 2 times did a huge trigger that come out of nowhere where I'm just like I just want to, I've got to find somebody, or I've got to do something now, because it's like, it feels like meltdown is how I describe it. Like I'm having a meltdown. And one of those times was in Greece, my first trip to Greece. And didn't see it coming. And somebody had said something to me in just conversation, something they were excited about. And she saw it. It was another practitioner, and she saw it. It was just like, bam. Like, she didn't know what to do. And I just went, and we were getting ready to go meet others for dinner. So it wasn't like we could sit down and have a session. I said, go, I'll take care of this. I had to, really. And so what I did was, my laptop was there, but we were in the hotel room, and I opened it up and I went to YouTube, and I think I searched like Hakuna Matata or something like that, some Disney song. And I literally, I played in my head. Again, it was words. Again, it was audio, but this was something actually that was just said to me like 10 minutes prior to that. And I played it in my head. I saw her face and I heard what she was saying, because she wasn't being mean. She was excited, happy, but it was something she said that I had meaning on. Like, I missed out and I didn't get to be a part of it. And I didn't get, my chance was gone. I mean, it had all kinds of layers of meaning to it. So,
there you go.
yeah, exactly. That was my phone. Yeah, my phone. So, anyway, so I had to. I didn't have time to do a complete art of change on myself as well, but I need to break the trance. I need to come back into the present. I was going to meet friends for dinner. I'm sure you were there, Joanna. You were going to be one of the friends I was meeting for dinner. And I brought up Disney, Hakuna Matata, and I think one other one. I think I may have gone back and forth, but I made myself stand up like I did, heard it again, tapped, let it go, squeeze my wrist. And then I hit play on the video and stood up and danced. So there was kinesthetic and sang to break the audio out loud, not in my head, and watched it. So I was including visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And I did it, even though, it was, feel it as strong as you can. I had been there. And I continued doing it until I felt a shift. Because it looked kind of silly. I had earplugs on, so you could hear me singing if you had been in the room. And I was kind of, Hakuna Matata, da, da, da. But when I felt like I kind of went, like a little kind of laughed at myself. Like, this must look silly or whatever. That was the shift. I hit pause. Went back and checked it again.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like it's, I didn't have to give it a number. It's your own rating. You just notice how it's different. And I think I did about, which is kind of blurry now, which is good. I'm going to say probably 4, back and forth like that. And I brought up another video too, but just, something Disney, silly song, dance with it, put all 3 modalities into it. Because if you stand up and move your body, that helps break it. Because you're making yourself do that. And I, however far my, cord would let me go and still see the video. So I had the visual of it. so that worked for me, and I suggest it to people all the time, because you can bring YouTube videos or even your own little personal videos. If you can make a collection of them, people in dinosaur costumes, throwing snowballs. I mean, those have made me laugh. Some people, I think Odile suggests baby laughing.
Oh yeah.
You go to YouTube and just search babies laughing.
Yeah.
That those are and keep playing those until you feel yourself giggle, laugh, change. I call it a shift, some kind of shift.
Yeah.
So I was able to make it to dinner with friends, and some would say, "How was your day?" And it was good, and could be more present for dinner. And then I think that was the night before I left to come back home to the U.S. And so those when you kind of write it on a list, like, this is something I have to go back and find the other, whatever the original triggers are, because that's what you want to clean up, right? And I can take it to a session with another practitioner,
Yeah.
So, but definitely it didn't create a bigger imprint, a more primary imprint, again, on top of it, to just allow that just grows that it just grows that trigger web or whatever onto that. So,
yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, so that's
well, I just want to say that I've received your cards, your deck, in the post a few weeks ago, and the first one that I opened the deck at was this one, which really made me laugh. Have you ever farted in the tub and the bubbles rolled up your back?
Okay. Becky?
What does that say about me? That's the first one that I read. I don't know. But they're brilliant. They're so good.
And those cards, they're divided. That's a kinesthetic card.
Yeah.
Right. They're divided into.
Oh, they're divided into the modalities.
Including, there's 6, because there's one for the programmer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They're really, really good. They are brilliant. And I think, the more I get into the habit of using them, it's just because they're just great, because I think sometimes, well, when you're working on yourself as well, you get so much into it that, you just, you do need to break your own trance as well as when you're working on somebody else. But trying to think what things I've done, what things I do. I'm very good at avoidance, so maybe I'm good at that. But I have, on the occasion, like what you've been talking about, got up and just jumped up and down, or screamed. And quite often, because I've got a greeting card shop, and I can I'll tap it when I'm at work. I just sit behind the counter and I just tap, and people, they don't know what I'm doing. They're too busy looking for what they want, and a customer coming in asking me, do you have whatever, and it's like, thank you. I just break
it,
yeah. But yeah, definitely dancing and singing, and I like to do that a lot. All these type of things, and just even sometimes if I feel I'm not getting anywhere with what I'm tapping on, I'll just like get up and do something else.
Right.
Just for a while, I don't know, maybe an hour or whatever, and then just go back to it later. Change my thinking, just shift, just stop thinking about it for a while.
Right. Because it's a pattern interrupt. I mean, the whole thing, that's what tapping is a sophisticated pattern interrupt. That's even Robert's definition, but that's what it is. It's a sophisticated pattern interrupt. But we get used to this sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I even have to change this, I'll tell people to do, heartbeat, rhythm or different things, and make myself do that too. But that it's do something completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, don't call a friend and start talking about it, or, you know, like it just builds that story. And the chemicals keep being produced
Yes.
that were produced. The stress hormones are just keep flowing. Oh, the threat is still there. And it just keeps producing that. And so it creates that loop. Well, I still feel this way. I'm still mad or sad or scared or whatever it is, frustrated, disappointed, blah, 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 blah. And those chemicals keep going, and that loop will go. So, which may lead to, I don't know if you want to speak more about that. You mentioned avoidance. Are you avoiding talking about avoidance?
But my favourite one, seemingly, is I just clonk out. I just fall asleep. I just kind of wake up. You know, it's like my neck. It's like my head attached to my body because I'm like, you know, I don't know, just like sitting in bed. And oh God, how did I stay in this position for like? I look at the clock and it's like 2 hours later. You know,
wow.
I just clonk out. Yeah.
And is that clonk out when you just fall asleep hard and deep, and is there dreaming involved, or you're just like checked out completely?
Checked out, but it's usually when I can't find what I need to tap on.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so probably trying to avoid finding it, I think, maybe. Yeah.
And your subconscious either is avoiding finding it, or it's like, this is the only place you're gonna find it is really deep.
Yeah.
That's just a guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think sleep, it's just like, you know, eating it we need it. You know, it's a healthy thing for our body, but when it's used
out of balance,
it's not abuse, it's misuse. You know, that it's that it becomes an avoidance. And because there's another client that said something about, she said one of her happy things or feel good things was sleeping. And I said, no, that's avoidance. You know, have to sleep every afternoon. And this is an 18-year-old girl. You know, she's got plenty of energy. She's not, you know, an aged overweight or anything like that. She's a young, vibrant woman. And she's like, but I really like just taking a nap. And I said, she's like, yeah, I know, it's avoidance. So, and there's resistance too. And I think that, you know, being more aware of, because I can feel resistance. And I think avoidance and resistance are like sisters, you know. They're related. And they have slight differences, but they kind of travel together sometimes, you know. And that resistance, because I can be like, oh, I don't have time to do it now, I'm gonna sit it down and do it later, or, you know. And if I'm, you know, really honest with myself, is that resistance? What is that, you know?
Yeah. So what about you, Margarita? Do you like to do anything to get yourself out of your trances, or?
Yeah, there are some things that I do, and but I would like some feedback on some other options. So I do tap in the moment, as you said you do. Oh, you both have said that. And Joanna, you're saying you even do it in your shop, which I think is cool. I have tapped in the moment with the Tom, as Robert calls it, the Tom Tar technique, I believe, you know, where you just like your finger or whatever, or silent tapping, just mental tapping. But I do respond pretty well to the kinesthetic, the getting up, the changing, the, you know, I find that if I'm just in a certain kind of funk or whatever, and not even just like a big trigger, but I do enjoy, one of my favorite things is jazz music. So I will go to YouTube and, get some of my favorite singers who just happen to be Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan. Those are my favorite jazz singers. So I will look for stuff that they're singing. But what I do have trouble with is in the moment when I'm, just triggered. And like a big trigger. So Becky, you described what you did when you were in Greece, and you just had to kind of take a time out and go deal with it. But do either of you have a suggestion? We all know the faster EFT techniques that we've learned in trainings, but and I know I can draw on them, but do either of you have a suggestion for, like, you're triggered big and you're somewhere where you can't necessarily leave? Like, you might be in a public place, or you might be at a, might be at a party, you might be in a shopping center, you might be wherever you can't. Just curious what you, I tend to, like, look in different directions. I have certain things that I use, like I'll look around, or I'll look different directions, or I might,
okay. Yeah, good. Yeah,
that's myself, or I might slightly change the topic. But those are things I've used. But yeah,
perfect. And I have some, and Joanna probably has some too. So I'm going to throw a couple of them out there, and then Joanna will have her versions as well. But yeah, looking around, like you said, looking around. If you're talking with, a group of people or whatever, and you let yourself look around, look for specific things like purple triangles. Mm-hmm. They're simple things.
Specific.
Yes. And yeah. So, count how many squares there are. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you're not just looking around, but you're looking for, add like a certain colored, geometric shape, or count, because that has to use a different part of your brain to count. Right. Yeah. And if you look, from side to side, in other words, you go left to right, it will also start crossing that, using both sides of the brain to start kind of crossing back and forth. That helps as well. And you said something else that I was gonna, and it left me. But I did want to say that also, and it may not fit into this particular situation like you're describing, but also a playlist. You were talking about Ella Fitzgerald and having jazz, and something that you can just pop quickly that up
That's true.
Yeah, and if it involves someone else talking to you, and what they're talking about feels like the trigger, like politics, for example, or something, or religion, either one of those sometimes. Right. And they could be talking about money or whatever it is, their loving relationship, and you want to say, get out of here. But whatever the topic is, feels like that's the trigger,
right.
And this is your friend, for example, or something like that. You can, I know what it was. You can excuse yourself to the restroom.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to ever question, do you really have to go to the bathroom? You can excuse yourself to the restroom. And then, of course, tap there. And I'll throw in tapping feet, tapping my feet as well if I'm sitting somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like I was saying, change to, like a different, like a heartbeat or something. Mm-hmm. If you do your feet, back and forth, you can do, heartbeat, you could do drum beat, you can do a jazz, that's a number. So those are some options. And like I showed you earlier,
tapping thing, touching,
thing,
whatever that's called.
But you can also throw a question, if it is about somebody speaking to you and they're a friend, and you can, if you don't want to excuse yourself, but you can throw a question out that is just like out of left field, because it could be they're in their trance. I mean, they are in their trance
Oh,
too.
a lot of times.
Whatever they're, yeah, especially if they're talking politics, blah, 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 they're in their trance. So you're actually breaking their trance too.
To help you create your own trance, yeah.
Instead of being tranced up together.
Yeah. Fancy time.
Yeah.
So just like a question like, yeah.
Oh, I saw this great movie last night. I've been wanting to tell you. And before I forget, let me tell you this movie. Have you seen it? You know, blah, blah, blah. Just like I just did there. Oh,
Yeah.
oh. I meant to tell you before I forget. Yeah, because they'll be like, oh, okay.
Those are some good ones. Yeah, I've written them down. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to remember the feet one. That's good.
Yeah,
Yes.
tapping the feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I do is I quite often, I sometimes do speak to customers, like, you know, people in the shop and stuff. You know, I'll ask them a question about something different because for whatever reason, if they're triggering me, you know, I'm thinking they're going to stand and talk to me here for half an hour. I can't get away from them or whatever, you know. But what I also do is I'll just I squeeze my wrist as well.
Yeah.
And then just do that.
I didn't realize how much, you know, like someone actually, I've been in Faster EFT for a long time, and someone said, well, you know, there's all the nerve endings here. And that is, and I don't know if I missed that previously, but yeah, that's why we kind of close the tapping round with that. And some people I notice really squeeze their wrist a couple times, so that's a really good
kind of do.
suggestion, Joanna.
Olga, you'll see Olga do that in her videos.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if I've seen Robert do that some. I think he'll just do like a little double squeeze sometimes. You can see him when he's tapping other people. Sometimes it'll be like a little, and I've kind of picked up that too. I don't always just do a single squeeze, but it's that anchor.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's a lot of, you know, it's a shortcut. He created that shortcut. Anchoring because of the meridians, you know, so many of the meridians end and begin in the fingertips and hand. So, because you can create an anchor anywhere as long as you get it. You know, that's an NLP technique. You know, anchoring that state. You can do it with the earlobe, squeezing it a certain way, and getting it anchored in, and you just keep that anchor active by doing it so often, but you don't want it to be a move that you do all the time. Like if you have this, or you want it to be, you know, have a little bit more specific to it. That's why a certain earlobe, you know, pinch at a particular pressure, you know, or something like that. Or you know, pressing a certain knuckle. Could be it's a good place for an anchor is put in.
Someone has told me, one of my swap partners, Joanna is one of my swap partners, one of my regular swap partners. That's how we know each other. But one of my other regular swap partners has told me that she is using this as an anchor. I don't know if you can see me. So I thought that was very interesting.
It could be. You
know, I guess I never, but yeah, just anchoring somehow that good. Well, a good, you know, once you are able to switch off or just somehow anchor yourself as a defractionation. Is that how you're seeing it, Joanna?
Yeah, like Becky was saying, it is so interesting that you can anchor anywhere. You know, you're talking about earlobes. I remember in the home study there was a DVD, I think, that he spoke about that. Yeah. It's fascinating how you can do it.
Right. Because the thing about an anchor is once the anchor is set, you know, that's solidly set, related to a state. So with Faster EFT, we're trying to relate it to peace. And you can change that word. It can be joy. It can be, you know, freedom. It could, you know, it's a pleasant state that we want. But once it's set, then you don't need all the other pieces. You just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's the linguistics and the neural net is set up for it. Now, if you don't use it or don't keep it strength, an anchor can weaken. And this is NLP. That, you know, you could read that in any of Richard Bandler's work or any of the other big NLP guys. That anchors can weaken, but the three of us at least, tap enough that we're keeping that piece anchor more active. And the breath that we take before that became a big anchor for me. And I didn't realize it until it was actually pretty early in my training, but I didn't realize the breath part was also how much it was connected into that anchoring, because I don't think I'd even been to level 2 yet. No, I had only been through level 1, studying level 1, and before I went to level 2, because I remember Robert asking me. But I was triggered into a disagreement with my husband. Wasn't a big fight or anything like that, but you know, just what was almost normal for us. You know, like you know, him being grouchy and me reacting, and you know, blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
and naggy kind of thing. But it started, and he said, you know, you blah, 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 blah. And I went, I took a deep breath because I was consciously, I was going to, you know, prepare for this, my defense or that, you know.
Yeah.
But I took the deep breath. I went, like you do when you're anchoring the peace feeling. And I went, and I swear it was so kinesthetic, something fell off of me. Mm-hmm. I honestly had the physical sense of something falling off of me when I took the deep breath. Brilliant. That's when I was like, this is not the only piece of the anchor. Take a deep breath, squeeze your wrist.
Yeah.
And I just went, oh. I mean, there it was. Peace was there. Mm-hmm. So that was just like, I knew I was on the right path. The argument didn't happen. Now, I mean, he was in that trance. He was in that trance. So tried a little bit more, and I just was like, I didn't even have to tap, because the deep breath I took shifted it all. Yeah. So
that's good.
Yeah. So even that, of course, sounds can be triggers. I mean, anchors, I'm sorry, can be anchors. Well, they can be triggers, but they don't have to always be a physical thing. Mm-hmm. But it's a brilliant way to bring yourself back to the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is what we're aiming for, isn't it?
Exactly. Always. That's where your personal power always is, mm-hmm. in the moment. Mm. Right.
Brilliant.
Oh.
Good.
Yeah, and you mentioned the cards, and I appreciate that, Joanna. The defrac cards, deck of defracts that I made up, and one of the very first cards that I came up with mm-hmm. was not the fart in the bathtub, but it was another kinesthetic one, because I'm super kinesthetic. But it was actually tap with this card.
Yeah.
Tap with this card, and in the next round of printing, I'm going to adjust that a little bit. Tap with this card, or the closest thing you can pick up. So if it's a pen, and I do that, yeah, exactly that, you know. And I've done it with a pen, because it's a different feeling than always being this.
Wow, I picked up so many things in this little. So many ideas in this little session that we've been experiencing here. I never thought about that. Wow.
That's why we're here.
Okay.
Yeah, but that tap, and what's funny is because I've used that card, actually tap with this card as a sample card. When I had the first round of printing, the way the cards were he printed my printer printed out a whole, I don't know, 50 extra ones or something to use as samples. Mm-hmm. And at a seminar in Vegas, I just handed that out to a bunch of people, because when you're in a seminar, you can get triggered, but you're in the audience and everybody is expected to bring themselves out of trance or leave the room and get out of trance so you can come back and be part of the training or part of the seminar and pay attention and learn rather than sit there in your trance. Yeah. So I passed out that card, and it was funny to see people, one person didn't even pick it up. She's like, get that card out of my face. I'm like, she's in trance. And I'm like, she's like that won't do anything. I'm like, tap with this card, and she kind of blew it off. I'm like, she's not getting the point, of course, me bugging her was kind of the defract too. She was sitting next to me and she was like, that's so silly. And I was like, you
just defract me because I just went into a relaxation.
But some people were doing this because in my mind I was doing like Joanna did a second ago, with the corner of it, tap with this card. But and it was funny to see somebody else pick it up and they went like they were doing. I'm like, well, that's slap with that card, isn't it? Because that's so soft to me, That's just but the corner. But it could. I created a digital version because there were people who didn't want to pay the price of a big. Actually, all the cards that I have sent, even to Richard in Hong Kong, they showed up when they only paid, the cheaper shipping. I'm like, okay, you're only going to pay the cheap shipping. We'll just take our chances. But they've all shown up. Australia, they showed up. Hong Kong, they showed up. The only place I don't ship is Mexico. They won't show up. I know they won't. So anyway, I created a digital version. So that's why I realized that one tap with this card will also say, or the closest thing you can pick up. Mm-hmm. That you can, like a pen or my biscuit or, just something like that. Because then it, even looking for something can help start breaking the trance. Looking for something to tap with rather than just your fingers.
Right. Just a change in your focus.
Mm-hmm. What can I tap with? Tap with my phone, Oh, and that's the other thing. Let me throw out, and we'll wrap it up. That's the other thing too, is the self crossfire. Is make a recording on your phone of your voice saying the quick tap words.
Okay. Wow.
So, because there's pretty much every smartphone now has a little app in it. I think mine's called Voice Memo or something like that. You just record yourself doing anything, but doing the quick tap words. And I have now probably about 6 or 7 different little recordings, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. There's quick tap words. Then there's just other, let go of the disappointment, the frustration, just other words that I've realized come up for me, the annoyance, that kind of thing. And then I have some middle recordings that are, maybe it's time, so if I'm doing a short self session, then I have those recordings. I'll go for a walk on a pretty day and can stop on a bench and do some of those and break it up.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So when we get down to, or it feels like a 3 or a 4, we start, let go of this. Maybe it's time for me to be nicer to myself. Maybe it's time that as I let that go, I notice that I'm freer, or, that middle ground. And then I have some recordings that are, today's the day, everything, it's what would be just before even future pacing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very positive. And they're just short, tap along with it. And I can hear it, but I can also say something else. So that's why I call it a self crossfire, because it's my voice twice saying different things.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. And Mary Cassidy, who's a advanced practitioner, who is where I got that idea. She just said she did it, and I was like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
She has a lot of innovative ideas.
Yeah. I really like getting to know Mary. So, so that's another thing that, if you've been triggered and you're going to work on something, you just, want to take some time, start setting up some time. You know what? I'm going to take 20 minutes and work on an issue and start breaking it down, and I go for a walk and use that. Now I use it more when I'm forced to, like, that really bothered me, I better go take a walk.
Yeah.
Who
knew we were defractionating before faster EFT just by taking a walk? But that's exactly what it does.
So. Right. And the more I hear, other sounds, count how many different sounds I hear, because that breaks up that audio play in my head.
That's a really good one. The counting.
I can hear a bird. There's a plane going overhead. I think I hear the wind or something. Oh, and there's some kids playing in that yard over there. And just really get quiet. And as you get quiet, which is a personal practice, to get quieter and quieter, and you really hear. I mean, sometimes you'll hear your own body functions. Like, hear your breath, of course, and just different things. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thinking in those different, on the surface, the defrag is the pattern interrupt, right? It's you have something change completely. And then if you can incorporate audio, visual, and kinesthetic, it's going to be that much stronger.
Yeah.
And quicker, I think. It's going to break it down that much quicker as well, rather than dragging it out. Because first of all, the defrag has to be bigger than the trance.
Mm-hmm.
And consciously, what we think is keeping us stuck in our trance, like, oh, I'm a really visual person, and so I'm going to change, the sight, the colors, and break it up. But the subconscious holds on to the other not so obvious modality.
Right.
Yeah, that
could still be a really deep root with the other modality that we don't think we're even aware of. It's like, no, hear a sound. Well, you know what? Just throw a sound in there. Just throw a different sound in there anyway. And if you don't notice it changing, keep throwing different sounds in there, because probably something else. Bottom line is, what belief is it attached to? Mm-hmm. When something is finally, like, you're done with this issue, done with this whole package of how it plays out, expresses itself in different ways, it's a belief. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is that it's a belief. It has meaning.
Yeah, and it's changing the links, isn't it? But that's so interesting what you said there, because when I first started to work on myself, like, I would feel it, and I still do feel it in my stomach, but that would be my strongest. But when I would go to tap on the things, I wouldn't feel anything, because it was blocked, but it was like strongest now, but I couldn't, link it to anything, because like you're saying, it was just so deep, it was, but that's fascinating. Yeah. And it's creating new links, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And retraining your brain and getting it to wire for feeling good.
Yeah.
Because even if we pull every weed out that we have and we get to every root and pull it all out, but we don't replace it with
exactly.
good feeling, garden, then we just have kind of bare ground, and I think that's why we're here on planet Earth, is to learn how to have joy and feel good and celebrate life and enjoy each other and all the wonderful, diversity. And so,
definitely.
And that's all my personal philosophy there, but
I think so. I think that's just as important, because what do you want at the end of it? Yeah, but I think that would
right, exactly. What do you want? Yeah,
that would be good for another one, I think. Yeah, because that's huge as well, isn't it?
Yeah. We know what we don't want. What do we want? What is it we really want?
Yeah.
What do we want? Yeah. Cool. Well, great. I think this was a good recording. I only have the time for, and I told we would get done over the hour, and then I went on and on. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll say our goodbyes. So thanks, you guys, for all that input. Fabulous. So till next time, I'm going to say so long.